no, axe throwing was a lot of fun. It's not just axes though; it's also shurikens. Very easy to throw. I thought it was going to be a lot harder. So,
What are shurikens, like knives?
like throwing stars. Yeah.
Okay.
So you literally just whip them like a baseball, and
Like South Park.
yeah. So yeah, hit Kenny, but they're not sharp. They're really just. It's interesting how you can just whip them and they just stick. Whereas the axe, there's actually a little more technique to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So they give you a big
hit
bullseye.
it in a certain part of the axe. Like you can't hit it. You have to hit the corners, don't you? Like the top or the bottom, the tip of the axe, or no?
Yeah, it just naturally does it when you do
Oh.
it right. So like when you first start, your natural reaction is to go like this with it, like to throw it forward so that it spins. But the
Yeah.
natural weight of a well-balanced axe, it just does it automatically. So you kind of throw it and release it at the top, and it just flips on its own and sticks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It also has a pool table. It's got a little arcade to it, which was pretty cool because we got there pretty early after dinner. So yeah, and then we just started throwing shit. We just started whipping it.
Where'd you go to dinner?
We went to Poppy's, the burger
okay.
place.
Right.
So
The health food store.
the health food store, yeah, basically. I didn't eat all day. I was waiting for it. I was like, let's go to Poppy's Barrels and Bites.
Packed it on.
Packed it on. Did my pretzel. I got the Philly cheesesteak. It was
News flash. I have lowered my cholesterol 40 points.
Is that a lot?
It's a good amount for 1 month of concerted effort compared to. I didn't realize I had my test a year ago, April 2024. So I just had it done like last week, and all my numbers are down. Now my cholesterol is still outside of normal, but that's only after 1 month, and that's pretty good.
No.
My triglycerides are perfectly fine now. They're in the normal. So it can be done with diet and exercise.
It can be done.
Yes. I'm going to the doctor on Thursday. So I'm going to, is it Thursday? No, Wednesday. So I'm going to ask her, it's actually a nurse practitioner. Like, if I keep going, when do I test again to see if I lowered those two? I don't care about all that.
When are you like, when can I start putting on English? When can I start taking in cholesterol again? When can I go back to red meat?
I had a steak yesterday for Dad's birthday.
Whoa.
He bought a very nice ribeye and cooked it on the grill after church. So that's the first steak I've had since I was down in North Carolina with you.
Oh, wow.
And it was okay, that's the first beef I've had. I haven't had any beef, not hamburger, chopped meat, nothing, no sausage. So I didn't really miss it. It just makes it a little more challenging. Like, I'm eating salmon a couple times now and whatnot, but I don't mind incorporating it again in my diet. It's just, I'd like to get that number down as much as possible. So if I ask her, if I do like steak once a week, is it reasonable to say in 3 months I'll keep going down, or should I cut it out?
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff I'll find out and keep going with it. Because like I said, I haven't used butter anymore. That I can't believe it's not butter. That's that spray stuff. They
I
also
hate
make
that
it
stuff.
I don't notice a difference anymore. I really don't. Especially when and for cooking, no difference. And I use it with Dad, and he hasn't complained. Like on the broccoli and stuff, instead of butter, I melt that. He hasn't said, well, that's gross, or I don't like the taste. So anyhow, it's doable. It's not genetic. Diet and exercise.
Yeah. This is our first podcast back since your award.
Yeah.
Put in the. I actually have your award. I have to give it to Dad to take back.
No, leave it there because he's going on an airplane with just his backpack.
Yeah, it's. You don't think he'll fit it? Okay, that's fine.
He'll ruin it. He'll crush it and everything. So just hold it. I'll get it when I get Grandma the week after.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but I tried getting the clip for your speech to put in the Discord, and Jen took it down. She's gonna re-edit it, so I was like, God damn it! It's like I should have done it sooner. But yeah. So big deal. The award ceremony was fun.
Yep.
It was we did. I felt like we did a lot. We did a lot of work for that. That was the most work I've done for a ceremony in my life.
Yeah. Well, as a parent, I've done a lot more for golf outings, for fundraisers, and
for those of you
soccer dinners.
Yeah, for those of you that watched the award ceremony, I mean, Mom and I put everything. I put that stage together that they stood on.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even use the stage. The podium, which is good. Right. I didn't want climb up
Do-
that thing. I
yeah.
saw you put it together. There's no way. I was
Yeah,
doing
I felt like I did a good job, even though half the legs didn't stick in. But yeah, no, it was good. Our trip
Yep.
to Florida went well. Uh,
Yep.
it was quick, but the late we were eating late nights. But at least Jen had the taco bar. The taco bar
Yeah.
was what made it.
Yes.
So
At the
um,
after party.
yeah, that's pretty much been it since we haven't done much since last week. It feels like so much longer ago.
I've been busy. This morning I was ripping apart the whole workout room, cleaning stuff out. Because now I've officially, with your dad taking stuff down in the RAV for your brothers, all the stuff I've been saving over the years. Oh, someone might need this in his apartment someday. We're done.
Yeah. Now, are you just throwing it out? You got to throw out one?
Well, your high school has the garage sale. So by the end of this month, which is in just a few weeks, they're going to collect all the stuff and then they're going to sell. So whatever is worth it, I'll drop it off down the street at your high school and they can use it for Catholic charities. But I mean, I've been cleaning stuff out over the years, but I've been keeping, extra shower rings and tissue boxes and stuff that nobody needs it. I'm never going to need it. Out it goes. So
Yeah.
it's good. I was cleaning a lot of stuff out.
Yeah, Dad comes today, so that's why we're not streaming tomorrow or the day this comes out. But I'm excited for Dad to come.
Yeah.
He's got goodies for me.
He's
got goodies. Yeah.
Bag.
I still have
Easter bag in
I
there.
still have to do my. Oh, is it? I still have to
Yeah.
do my Walmart shopping. I haven't had the time to go to Walmart, so I gotta do that. Hopefully, Dad comes with me, but he doesn't have to. I gotta get like little knickknacks and stuff. I gotta get like shampoo or conditioner.
Is Kohl's over there by Walmart?
I think there's a new Kohl's. Jordan and Carmen were talking about it yesterday, and Jordan was like, mm-mm. She said it's not a good Kohl's. I didn't even know it was possible to be a bad Kohl's. I'm not even sure what Kohl's is.
Kohl's department store, but
Right.
when Dad gets there, I'll maybe forward you the receipt, and you could just return that at the store. You just go right up to customer service with the receipt.
Because my mom bought me about 4 different suits and pants for this award ceremony and ended up only using the one. So, yeah, I probably could. I still have the box receipt, but I don't know if that helps.
Oh, you do? Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
think so.
fine.
Oh,
That'll
okay.
probably work.
Because
Probably take it for that.
guys, I tried returning something. I don't get it. I went to UPS the other day. I did exactly what they said. I put the QR code on the goddamn box. I give it to the lady. She's like, it needs it to be in another box. I was like, what do you mean? The thing's in a box. She goes, no, it's got to be a box within a box. I'm like, oh, so we're wasting boxes here? I was like, what the hell do you mean? Just take the box that the thing's in and ship it. The freaking thing's on. She's like, can't do that. And I go, why?
Yeah.
She goes, it needs to be in a bigger box. Just take the goddamn box.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So
She could have upsold you a box though, because they sell those things there.
yeah,
could
she
have
tried
said,
to upsell me there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Well, worst case, you don't have to do it. You can wait because I can do it when I come down. I'm just trying to decide if I should
think
come
it's due the
all way
11th.
down to you or meet you halfway. Meet Sue halfway. I don't know yet.
Oh, okay then. No, you don't have to come see me, Mother. That's fine.
Well, it's not that. I can only be there literally a day because I have to be back on Wednesday. So I'm going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm spending Monday and Wednesday driving.
Right.
So that's why I'm kind of figuring out what to do. But if I don't see you, I won't see you for a while unless you come home because I'm stuck with Grandma. So that's what I'm toying with.
Yeah, that's true.
I might come down and drive. Like Dad was not. He was somewhat hyped. He's been getting good night's sleep with his arm, which is good. That helps. So
Yeah,
he was
Dad's
up
got a
early.
little bit of a tear in his shoulder, we think. So Dad's been sleeping like crap.
Yeah, but the last couple nights have been pretty good. So he was up and ready at 5:30 and out the door before 6. So he's he's my gauge. It took him down the scenic route. He wanted to just take the highway the whole way this time, and he says that's not too bad. It's actually a longer distance but shorter time.
Right.
But you got to do it with all the lights and everything. When he said that to me, I'm like, ugh, do I really want to do that 8 hours one day, and then 2 days later the 8?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it.
Dad's here till
I might
Tuesday,
fly
right?
down, drive home.
Right. Dad's here till Tuesday because Aunt Sue was like, your dad's only here for Monday, like the night. I was like, no, that's not true. Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dad's here Tuesday. Tuesday.
Yeah, he's leaving. I don't know when he's gonna head to Raleigh to meet your brother, but
Yeah.
that's the plan, and then he'll fly out of Raleigh up to Newark.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Tuesday he's got a full day there.
Kenny didn't even
Kids,
bother coming to visit. I was like, Ken, you coming? He's like, no.
yeah, he's got a long ride though, and
Yeah.
you're gonna see him possibly in a few weeks.
Oh, that's right. True.
Is it
True.
2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Well, whenever
something like that?
the first week of May, if that's the
Yeah, I
date of
think
that.
that's only.
Today's the 6th, so we got a full month basically.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but you'll see Dad this week, me next week, and then in 2 weeks you see your brother. So
Yeah,
you're
if all goes
busy.
well.
You're busy, busy.
Yeah.
If all goes well.
Um.
You can always visit them anyhow.
Eh. Eh.
Miami's got a little more going on than New Bern.
Are you kidding me? Axe throwing is all I need. Axe throwing and just all the food places. We were talking about it last night. There's really not much to do here. They just added an escape room, and we were like, oh, we should do that. And then I got instant flashbacks to when we did the flash room, and Kenny and I just yelled at each other the whole time. And everyone was like, no, this isn't fun, while Kenny and I are trying to figure this out. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but it's fun to do with a group of friends. Maybe not siblings, because siblings get on each other. I wouldn't want to do it with Susan and Raymond.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
I would do it with my siblings.
Yeah. Ken and I just yelled at each other, and everyone was like, Chris, we don't want to do this anymore because you guys are fighting. I was like, shut up. Stay in your corner.
Do the same thing with miniature golf. Not doing it with you guys. You're on your own.
Mini golf is fun.
Not for your parents. Not for us.
Well, that's because you suck, Ma. That's not well.
Yeah.
If you mean when you're young, yeah, young because you actually suck. But right now, if you were to give me a putter, put me on putt, I'm draining some threes, as they say.
I remember like a summer during college, some friends came up and they wanted to go, and they weren't even close friends. They're more like acquaintances. Oh, we're in town. You want to go miniature golfing? I'm like, ugh, no.
Mini golf. Ugh.
Where I lived, there was a bunch of those places, and they were visiting. They're doing touristy stuff, and I was like, "Oh God, I really don't want to do that." And that's long before you kids were born, so putt-putt's not miniature golf's not my thing. Little I get it, you know.
Yeah. Then we shot pool last night. We played pool for like 3 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We probably got back at like 10:30, and then we played till like 2 or 1:30.
Ooh. No wonder you're yawning.
Yeah.
That's good. Then you're ready for Dad, because you know he's gonna.
That's what I was saying. I was warming up. I needed that warm up. Otherwise, I mean, I was clearing the table last night. I did play well. Now it's all gonna go downhill now that Dad's here. Yeah, Justin played really well.
Work the sore arm. That's
Yeah. I did not realize Justin's very good at pool. I was like, whoa, okay, Justin. He was clearing the tables, just like me.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got a challenge.
Once we started doing doubles, that's when it went downhill. That's when it wasn't pretty, because then I got iced, and then I'm missing, because now I have to wait, and it's tough. And I got flashbacks. I got flashbacks to my thumb injury.
Who was your partner, Jordan?
Jordan and Tristan. Tristan's one of the guys here that lives here. One of the cardio buddies at the gym. And then, yeah, he's abysmal. So,
not a pool person. Okay.
Yeah, Tristan, if you ever see this, get better at pool.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So we did that for like 3 hours, and then, yeah, then I came back. Then I hung out with Matt Sprague, Michael, and that was it. Then I went to bed.
Marvel Hero time?
Oh, it was Marvel Rivals time. Oh, it was.
Rivals.
Yeah. So Mike was going. Mike was playing, and then I just kind of. I think we were all too tired to play anything well, so we just kind of gave up.
Does Mike play with Matt Sprague if you're not there?
Yeah, he'll play with those guys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They lose every game without me, but whatever.
Kenny was out to dinner last night with some stock people. The night before on Dad's birthday, he called us because he was in his friend's garage. They were going to, you know who he saw? Maniscalco.
Yeah, Sebastian.
Yeah. So he had to call Dad because he opened the garage door. There was a $2 million Porsche right there that he's never seen in person. One of those spider ones.
Yeah.
He's taking pictures, and he sent it to Dad. He goes, I can't believe I saw this car in person, blah, blah, blah. And there was a couple others there that were really nice. So,
but
yeah,
whose house did he go to? Just one of the stock guys?
It was his friend's apartment.
Oh, okay. It's just like an apartment complex. Oh, gotcha.
Apartment complex, yeah. So he's in the garage, and I mean, there are a lot of nice cars in Kenny's garage too, but certainly not the level that his friend's garage has.
Yeah.
You know, he's in very expensive apartment buildings, and there's all sports cars and stuff. But Kenny was just like, I opened the door and there's this dream car that's,
And Kenny's just keying all of them.
no.
Kenny's just going around like the Teslas, the people with the Teslas.
I don't think so.
Uh,
no, he'd buff it without them.
Yeah,
even
really.
asking.
Can I wash your car? I'll do it for free.
Just to be near it.
Yeah, exactly. Problem is they probably say no because you got to do that professionally. Like you don't want some kid on the street buffing. Like there's probably some technique to it or whatever. But
I wouldn't want to do it in a car like that. You do one thing wrong, it's just like, oh God, no.
Yeah. So
But anyhow,
you ready to get into some articles, Mom? I need to go to Walmart and get a lot more gum. I've been going through gum like crazy.
I guess you didn't see my article about the gum.
Oh, what a transition.
Oh, we're gonna start with that one. I was just looking at your articles.
Boom.
Yeah, we can start with the gum one. The gum one though is kind of lame because
Yeah, let's see. So scientists issue warning after making disturbing find in chewing gum. The people I talk to are always surprised when they find out.
Right. So the article ends more about plastic pollution, like when you throw gum out, it doesn't break down. Guy's name is David Jones. He's from the University of Portsmouth in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, gums contain a huge amount of oil-based synthetic rubbers, like the kind you use in tires and everything else. They use terms in the packaging of quote-unquote gum base, so they really don't go into detail, but the guy was basically saying, people are always shocked when they see what actually goes into a stick of gum. So we know those microplastics, they take hundreds of years to break down. And then, also, they kind of highlighted more, yes, it's toxic for people, but it's even worse for the environment because, people spit it out or throw it in the garbage and it takes forever for it to break down, so.
That's like
I'm not sure how that is for humans.
That's like when they say you're not supposed to swallow gum. Remember that?
Yeah.
I feel like your stomach still breaks that down, but maybe I'm wrong. Like I actually don't know. I don't know what's a myth and what's not when it comes to gum. But they say that there's some stuff that they put in gum, like whatever the elasticity stuff. I think it comes from a certain animal that you'd be like.
Well, apparently it's a synthetic oil that they're using to make a gummy. Maybe they switched over. I don't know. But I just, the hot topic nowadays is the microplastics in the water bottles. That everybody has a ton of it in their body.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even realize it. It never breaks down, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
I thought they disproved that because there was someone on Rogan a couple years, like a year ago now maybe, who said that we eat enough microplastics in a day to make a credit card. Like make something the size of a credit card. But I think they disproved it. Like it's not, you'd have to be in a very high plastic polluted area to do that.
Or, drink from a water bottle all the time, which we used to do that. I don't do it anymore. I tell your brother not to do it because he's big into the water bottle. So, like, you know what?
Well,
I
think if it sits for a long time, like let's say you keep a Poland Spring in a thing of Poland Springs in a closet.
Yeah.
Right. And like you drink it over a month, I think the water's going to leach the plastics.
The other way.
Yeah.
Plastic will leach into the water.
Yeah.
A long time ago when Keurig, so those pods first came out.
Yeah.
I was at some function and a woman there said, I don't like to have those every day because my husband's a scientist and he said the plastic that melts into your coffee over time is not good for you.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. And then I thought about what, it's true. We're constantly using plastic for everything. And, plastic does break down like everything else.
And a Keurig just heats up the plastic, right? So you'd have to make almost like glass ones or something.
Yeah, or I use the refillable plastic so they're not as soft, but even that over time. I'm sure there's truth to it. We don't use the water bottles like today. Dad said we should probably get just a few for when we travel or something we want to throw it out.
Yeah.
We don't want to take a cup with us that we have to bring back. So, yeah, I just think like everything else, if you're doing it all the time, nothing to excess. But we all know gum. It did make sense that gum is not something you should swallow just because, your stomach acids would break it down, but it's not like food.
Yeah. So, I mean, as long as they're not linking it to cancers, it's not like chewing tobacco, but I do feel like.
We'll get to that next, right?
Yeah. Because
That'll be the next.
whenever they start putting, like nicotine gum, I can't believe that's great for you. Because you just, I mean, that's your teeth rather than like a Zins. At least that just sits in your system, but I have to believe that's going to do some teeth damage if you're constantly chewing it.
Well, yeah, teeth and everything else, but it's like, yeah, nothing to excess. If you're doing the Zims all the time, it's not going to be good for you.
Oh man, I have a friend who, I mean, we're on the golf course and he's just packing them in. I'm like, how many are
Yeah,
you doing in 9 holes? We don't even do a full 18, so he'll get through like 4 or 5. I'm like,
yeah, it's
man,
crazy.
yeah.
That's not healthy.
I don't understand how people like. I guess some people are just used to the nicotine, but if I when I did do Zins, I don't really do them anymore. The like I could barely stand, let alone play golf, because I'm not good with nicotine, I guess. But
Oh,
yeah, I guess some people are just that used to it, especially the people who do chewing tobacco. So
yeah, I was gonna say, I guess the nicotine gum, for instance, better you do that than smoke, but you're not supposed to replace it long term. It's supposed
right,
to get you away from the nicotine
yeah.
habit.
So if you
I
keep
think it's what
popping them,
gradually,
yeah,
right, right.
yeah. So
It's like with
otherwise,
the
what's the
patches,
point?
they put like 5 of them on
Yeah,
there. You're
exactly.
not supposed to do that.
So, but I mean, I wouldn't be able if I put in the 6 milligram ones, which I believe is the highest that Zyn makes, at least at the time they did. Like
Yeah.
I'm not walking straight. That's how bad that thing's gonna mess me up. So to be able to play golf on those, I'm like, you have a problem.
Yeah. Well, you're not a nicotine person, which is a good thing. You don't
No,
want to be
you're supposed to.
used to
There's
that.
benefits to it when you do it like once a week, maybe once every other week. But if you're popping 8 a day, going through a whole can of them, yeah, that's a no go. That's gross.
Yeah, well, you're at a nicotine level where if you really are serious, you want to do 7 the next time, 6 the next. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be to wean you off of it, not
Yeah.
to encourage you to take more and more of it. So,
I think when the scientific studies came out that there are benefits to it, I think that's when people were like, okay, let me do 8 of them.
yeah, yeah, and I think, yeah, as we know,
Yeah.
nothing to excess. People just think it's overkill. Human nature. That's Americans for you.
Yeah.
That's America.
Um. What else do we have? Should we go? This is one I kind of want to talk to you about because I think you're going to explain this better than anyone else really does. The tariffs. So
Yeah.
everyone's having a freak out right now about the economy. Now, if I'm not mistaken, right, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, Mom, but if I remember right, during Biden's administration, our economy was way down points wise. Trump brings it up 24, fantastic, and then it's
Yeah.
dropped 3, and everyone's freaking out. Is that just media losing their mind and making people lose their minds? Because I thought we're still at higher points than we were in 2020. Is that correct?
Points. What are you talking about? The
The
GDP?
GDP. Well, I guess the Nasdaq and all
Inflation?
that. Well, no, they're talking.
Oh, you're talking
Yeah,
about the stock
yeah,
market.
stock market.
The stock
Because right,
market.
if I
Okay.
remember correctly, back in 2020, like we were really low. Then Trump brought it up super high, and now it's down 3 points, which is still a net high, and everyone's freaking out. Why is everyone freaking out?
Well, the stock market really cratered on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some saying that we're going to have another 1987 on Monday morning, meaning tomorrow. Um, yes, the stock market took a hit. And it's a risk. The stock market does not like uncertainty. They don't mind bad, they don't mind good, but uncertainty is what is never good with the stock market. And these tariffs are, it's interesting because the stock market or the equity, the big companies that benefit the most from these tariffs and trade agreements, they're freaking out over them the most because our country has become so financially based, right? Not production based. And we learned really through COVID, for anybody who wasn't paying attention over the last few decades, we learned through COVID just how little we produce when we need it in
Yeah.
this country. That's because we're not a production based economy anymore. With all those trade agreements like the NAFTAs, the WTO, and all that, it became cost effective for American companies to make things overseas, right? And they knew it was going to be very cost effective to bring it back because you don't have those tariffs, right? So they get the cheap labor overseas. They use the value of the dollar to bring the stuff back over here. It's a win-win. And then you have equity companies or people that invest in these companies. They're loving it, right? Because their expenses are high, the revenue's high, expenses are low. That affects your stock price, right? How do you lower your expenses? You get cheap labor overseas, stock goes up. So we became a country that was more, or our financial system was based more on equities and exchange rates, and that's how we were funneling things. Wall Street was fine with that because Wall Street doesn't produce things; they just do it based on stocks,
Right.
bonds, um, foreign exchange. So the goals of the Trump tariffs, and you have to remember, I don't think people sold this enough, or Americans didn't want to hear it. We are on a bad financial path. That has, yes, something to do with Biden, and yes, something to do with Trump, but this has been for decades. We've been building to the point where we're going bankrupt. Nobody wants to hear that. We think we can print money out of our ass. As we've learned from Doge as well, we've been wasting so much money. We've also been generating money in places that we didn't even know. We have departments that just create money. That's bad. That's also part of inflation too. If we don't get some other sort of revenue coming in and change the dynamic, we're just going to go bankrupt. The U.S. is going to go bankrupt. And that's going to have an effect around the world, right? So what's been happening for decades is every other country has tariffs on U.S. stuff, U.S. goods. We don't have it on them. And we've taken all our production stuff and sent it overseas. Well, who does the producing? Who works in those factories? That's your middle class here, right?
Right.
So gradually we've been seeing the middle class has been struggling, literally struggling, right? Then you can play around with what's considered a middle class financially, but it's a big chunk of this country. Almost 50% is based on middle class. And you've been taking their jobs away. What are they supposed to do?
Right.
And then as a side issue, you're bringing in foreigners who are taking whatever jobs there are, et cetera, et cetera. So Trump came in, and he's been saying this all along. We need to build up the middle class. We need to bring jobs back. Well, what do the middle class people do? They work in factories, or they produce things, or they start a small business. Our environment right now is not conducive to that because it's so much cheaper getting it overseas, or, they put a tariff in and we'd rather bring it overseas because we don't produce it. So that's part of the idea with the tariffs. What he did was, I'm going to slap a minimum 10% on everybody, right? Anybody who charges us more than that, they have a formula in place that they're going to charge extra, including Canada and Europe and, China, right?
Could I ask a question, Mom? Because I don't know if this is factually true or not, but I saw a tweet on it. He hasn't put tariffs on Russia. Is that because? Well, I think the only reason, tell me if I'm right or wrong, is because if you put tariffs on Russia during this war, it's like taking a chip off the table to end the war. Or my other thought is we just don't get that much stuff from Russia.
Right. It's more the latter. I mean, that was Trump's comment. Their economy's in such a tailspin that they don't, we don't need to put tariffs on them. I don't know. We don't really get much from them.
Yeah. Like I don't think I've ever seen a made in Russia label.
Right. You don't see much of that. They don't produce that much. That they're an oil-based country. That's right. Their primary, and the most of that they ship to the Middle East. If you remember the pipeline that was blown up, that's why Germany was relying on Russia for oil. And even Trump had said right after his first term, that's a mistake. Germany should stop doing that. Germany laughed at him. And sure enough, Russia cut them off with the Ukraine war when they were all backing Ukraine. And they felt the pain of it, and everything went through the roof. But that's a side issue. So tariffs have a threefold effect. He's trying to change the economy by making it more production versus financially based, right? Which is very important to get people working and to produce things here. He's also trying to actually just make it fairer and generate revenue for us, for those countries who really need to do business here. They need to pay their fair share, especially if Congress does not allow him to make cuts, right? Or change taxes, because it's the only way you generate money, and our country desperately needs to bring the debt down. Mm-hmm. Right now, you're hearing a lot of people argue about that in Congress. I'm not going to raise the debt ceiling. I won't sign the budget, blah, 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 blah. You got to figure it out, because either we increase the amount of debt to finance things, but you don't pass a budget, but you got to cut, all this stuff. And that's another reason why Doge is so important, because they're identifying all these areas where you can cut spending, which will help to bring our costs down. Okay. And then the third thing that he's trying to do is affect the 10-year bond. So a lot of things long-term are based on our 10-year bond, your mortgages, your credit cards. Everybody worries about the short-term stuff, which is important, the treasuries and the T-bills and whatnot. That's how banks operate. That's how they decide how much they're going to lend out, not lend out, blah, blah, blah. And the The government decides with the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay. The 10-year bond is important, and when you're playing a long game with tariffs, okay, it's a little bit complicated, but it helps to bring that down because you bring the value of the dollar up, blah 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 blah. But what everyone's upset about right now is if the tariffs don't work quickly, we could see inflation.
And that's just basically a game of chicken, right, Mom? And what I mean by that is like these countries have to kind of cave because of they know how bad
and they're already caving. So it's working, but you can't, like, the Democrats aren't going to allow that.
It's a gamble still either way, though, right? Yeah. But
it's a gamble because a lot of things have to happen. And you heard the president say on, I think it was Thursday, he kind of said to Jerome Powell, who has the Federal Reserve, now's a good time to cut that rate, right? To cut their rate. So that brings other rates down. So it's a game of trying to use whatever resources you have, right? Rate adjustments, treasuries, buying and selling treasuries. There's only certain things that the federal government can do to affect inflation and whatnot, right? So in putting these tariffs in, it had to be done, and it was going to be painful. The question is how long will it be painful, right? And Trump keeps making these statements. I've already heard from every country regarding our tariffs. That doesn't mean all of them have been like, okay, oh, we give. Some of them are negotiating. And that's what you do.
Right.
Come back and negotiate. But me personally, I'm sick of paying for goods from other countries, and we just give whatever we have away.
Yeah.
And it's hurting us. It really is. And
especially when we don't produce that much stuff.
We don't produce it, and we are a major market. I mean, I don't know if I had it in this article, but somebody breaks down how much the U.S. buys versus what we ship. And, we're your market out there. So naturally, Canada was talking a gig game. How dare you? We will not trade with the northern states, blah, blah, blah. By the end of the week, the guy was saying, well, we'll work with you. Right? They're a trade person. We work with you.
Well, that's like Canada. Remember, Canada was like, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. And then like 2 days later, Trudeau just gets like essentially fired.
Right.
They're just like, cool.
Batya Sengar, she's the young woman that she was on Piers Morgan with some other pundits, and she's been on, she's a Democrat, and she represents the middle class. But she loves Trump's policies because she's been screaming about this too for a long time, that you're killing the middle class, which used to be the Democratic stronghold, by the way, right? The Republicans were always about the elites. Well, now everything's turned. And that's why they're all pulling up all these old clips of Pelosi and Schumer and Bernie Sanders talking about how we need tariffs. Tariffs are good. Now they're singing a different tune, right?
Yeah.
But she has a good point about, finally somebody is standing up for the American worker. And we've been paying these tariffs to other countries for how long? And we do it, and now all of a sudden we're the bad guys. Why are we the bad guys? To finally say, hey, you know what? We need a fair share too. We're your marketplace. Right. And if you don't want to trade with us, that's fine. We'll make it here. So we've already seen like a $1.2 trillion investment. It's only been 3 months of foreign companies coming in. You see American car people now say, all right, now it's cost effective for me to build here because the tariffs are going to cost too much. So it is working. It's just he's not going to get the credit, and we will see a dip in the economy. You're going to see the stock market's not going to like it because it's uncertainty. They don't know where it's going. But we had no choice. Right. Either way, we were going to feel pain, and then Trump was going to get blamed for it. But we literally have no choice if we don't turn this economy around and start chipping away at the debt we have. We can't service it.
Right. Speaking of Doge, the Institute of Peace deleted 1 terabyte of data to cover up its crimes, but Doge found it. I thought this was pretty interesting because, first off, a terabyte of files of like documents and stuff, that's a shit ton of documents to delete. Yeah. Like that's like 2 full hard drives worth of like 500 gigs. For us computer people, like that's ridiculous to have that many files that are just essentially Word documents and PDFs. So,
and to think nobody's going to notice.
Yeah, and
those people in
there. The financial data. So they were trying to hide financial data, but I think people don't realize this. And I've always wondered why they do this on computers. But a hard drive, for instance, there's actually when you delete stuff off a hard drive, there's still a little piece in that hard drive that has all the data in it, and you can actually re-get that data back. And they're purposely done for that reason if they have to get like some kind of documents for terrorism or whatever. There's ways of doing it. I've always wondered though, if you're able to still store all those documents, and it's kind of a weird format. It's like a very weird encryption that is constantly added to. I always wonder why. I'm sure there's a reason. This is just out of my scope of like knowledge. 1 terabyte, like encrypted down, like if they utilize that full potential, like hard drives could last petabytes.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like if you're able to take everything you've ever deleted and then put it into a file that can get recovered. I don't know why they don't just use that as like compression storage, but that's kind of besides the point. That's just my nerd questioning. But
yeah, you'd have to contact the young man at the end of that.
Yes, this genius. But the process of how to get that back is pretty impressive. So
talk about the dig somebody said about maybe the elite university should have thought twice before they rejected him.
Yeah, really. So this is the guy that pretty much found everything, right? He's the one that redid the encryption and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think he figured it out. What my takeaway from the story was, so it's 3 employees, just 3 of them. I don't know how many are in this group. They tried to erase 1 terabyte of financial data. Doge found it. They claim they are a non-profit independent agency, so Doge can't come in there. And my claim is bullshit. You're taking my tax dollars. I want a proctologist in there checking out your ass because that's my money. If this is one agency, I can only imagine how many non-profit independent
That's why.
agencies.
If there's anything I've learned in the line of business, it's that there is no such thing as a non-profit organization. It's only titled that for the tax purposes. That is it. Because it seems like every single non-profit is somehow getting money from somewhere, and it's not donations. So,
well, I was outraged this weekend about, I think it was Minnesota, the food bank director. Okay. They fired, no, she wound up resigning. But this is after, and I don't think it was Doge, I forget how. They uncovered discrepancies. Her salary is $751,000 a year.
Nonprofit.
She's a food bank director. That is obscene. Okay, so when they uncovered that and posted that, all of a sudden, next thing we know, she retired or she left the job.
Exactly. Okay? There's
bank.
no such thing as a nonprofit. No such thing.
Consider that a nonprofit, but this is the absurdity of what is going on out there, and nobody bats an eyelash about it. Okay.
Yeah. But what's not a nonprofit? YouTube, now worth as much as $550 billion. Now, what I got out of this article was I was surprised that YouTube is only 30% of Google's where their money comes from. Like I thought it was going to be like 70%.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, YouTube has now the reason that this is so big, I guess, is because it's not talking about TikTok. It's not talking about Twitter or whatever. It's literally talking about how it's bigger than Disney now. Yeah. Like that's pretty crazy, but it just goes to show how much content is on YouTube. I forget the name of the guys that actually built YouTube, but I still remember the day in grades. I must have been like 8th grade or something like that, maybe 6th grade, where YouTube got sold. And that I just remember I was like, oh man, that sucks. YouTube's not going to be the same. And now look at it. It's just better because of all the outlets that they did. They did it right. They have shorts, they have streaming, they have long form content, they have movies on there, they got games on there. So
they seem to focus in this article mostly on the streaming.
Yeah.
When compared to like Disney.
Yeah, that could be true. Because I don't know if you're streaming movies or something through YouTube. I don't know, like using YouTube Plus or whatever, YouTube Premium. Yeah. I don't know if that's in the same category as like gaming streamers. Because
the term they use is premier streaming aggregator. The media analysts who look at the company, that's where they see their strength is. They're going to become the premier streaming aggregator. So maybe it's all those things pulled together, anything they stream out that I don't think Disney does the myriad of things that YouTube does.
Yeah.
Right? They do stream, but I think they're more TV streaming.
Yeah, I think they mean overall streaming. So streamers, movies, TV shows. Now, I'm going to be honest. I've never really seen... I actually hot take. I'm not a huge fan of the layout of YouTube now, in the sense of, and maybe mine's different because I'm a content creator and it looks different, but you used to have like the trending page was the first thing that would show up on your screen, right? And then the trending page would actually, let me check. I actually don't, now that I think about it, YouTube. If I just go to YouTube, well, I want to know what the first thing is that comes up. Does it take you to? Yeah. So first thing it's going to do is it's going to take you to your what you watch. Right. So I couldn't even tell you how to get to TV shows, because see, so already, and again, maybe mine's different for everyone in comparison. But here's my history, my playlists, all my stuff. Oh, I didn't even know there were achievements. Oh, that's for something different. But if I scroll down, this is where all the important things are. So here's your trending page.
Is it the thumbnails across the top?
No, these are all the things that I usually, it takes my algorithm, and I don't know if that's actually YouTube, because I use something called TubeBuddy and stuff that gives me something a little different. But this is the big one. So trending, your shopping, music, movies, and TV. So I've never even clicked on these. So that's why everything I get is from the home. So I still don't understand sometimes where people will say that they get all their content or all their new content from YouTube, or the fact that people that watch us are mostly on TVs. That one baffles me too. So yeah. So there more people watch on TVs than they do phones or computers.
Yeah, phones I could say.
Yeah,
I feel like young people are more into their phones than even an iPad or a tablet or anything like that.
So, but that's why I've never heard someone tell, like, let me put it this way. When was the last time you heard someone say, hey, I saw this new show on YouTube?
Yeah, very rarely. Right. It's Netflix.
Yeah, it's Netflix. Cenat, so that's why I think that when they say it's the biggest platform, they probably mean in size, and because of all the ad revenue, that's why it's growing so fast. Because if you have 100 movies on Netflix and they're good ones, everyone's watching, cool. But if you have 10,000 somewhat good movies that people are watching, even if it's less than what, like, per video or per movie, the ad revenue is still going to be significantly higher.
People, I don't go into YouTube to look up a movie. I look up the movie and watch it if it's on YouTube. Right? So I don't consider YouTube my go-to. Like for Prime, I would go into Prime. I don't even know. I guess you could load it onto an Amazon Fire Stick or an Apple box and have it be one of your icons. But that's not my go-to for movies. Like that's an afterthought. If it's a movie that the other ones don't have, I'll say, well, let me find it on YouTube. But it's never necessarily the best quality. Sometimes it's like a recording of it.
The last thing I can think of that was like a YouTube show, I believe, was the Cobra Kai, right? Cobra Kai was a YouTube thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did stream that one.
Yeah. So that's like the only thing I could think of. I think the rest are all YouTubers that make their own TV shows, and then people watch them. Like I bet you
charge, right? I don't pay for YouTube.
If you you don't have to. Some are free, some aren't. So
okay, I don't remember subscribing for Cobra Kai, and
I think that was before they added the subscription plans.
Okay, that's probably because I haven't watched it in a couple of years.
The other thing we forgot is there's YouTube TV now, right? So like Uncle Jerry and Aunt Sue, right? They pay. I forgot about that, so that does actually make sense. So if that's your number one streaming platform, when you're watching shows on YouTube and stuff, and you're paying your monthly. That would actually make sense. So now that I think about it, that would make sense as to why they're so big.
Yeah, because they're saying they're the second largest media company right now after Disney. Their revenue is $54.2 billion, but they should take the lead in 2025.
Yeah, and they're
from the premier streaming aggregator. Their 2024 global ad revenue, $36.15 billion. With subscriptions of 15 billion. So they want to get the subscribers. I mean, I guess the subscriber numbers are going up. They think YouTube will be the leader in pay TV market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. YouTube's doing it right in the sense of we can still post our videos and watch the free videos. And then anyone that wants to watch TV and stuff, like you actually use it as your main media source, then you pay for it. So it kind of makes sense. It's not like you have to pay to watch my videos. right?
Right.
So
Right.
they're doing it right in that sense, but that's just because of how big they are. They don't need to do that. If I was a smaller company, and by smaller I mean like Peacock, for instance, then you might have to
Yeah.
start really, if you want to catch up or whatever your goal is, you're going to have to really start either putting out better content or you're going to have to make people pay just to watch videos.
Yeah, that would be a little tricky for all you guys,
Yeah.
like all the podcasters out there.
Well, we'd probably
because-
make more, but you'd probably get less viewership. Because if you're paying a subscription, you're not paying per
Yeah.
video, you're probably good. But like, I would love to see how many of my viewers or our viewers have YouTube Premium, which is the paid for non-TV version. Like the only person I know that uses it is Dave.
Well, what do you get for that? Oh, that's the gaming. You get gaming aspect.
No.
access?
All you get is no ads. So,
Oh.
especially now that they're cracking down on the ad blockers and stuff, which there's always a new
Right.
one, so it never works.
Yeah.
You get to pay for that, and the other one that you get is you're allowed to listen to music without having the app open. So I don't know if you know this, but like if you ever are watching a video on YouTube and you turn your phone off, like you just kind of hit the button on the side, it stops the video.
Yeah.
So with YouTube Premium, it doesn't stop the video, so you can still listen to music.
Oh.
It's kind of a weird one to gatekeep, but
Yeah, but yeah. So if I have the TV streaming, does that give me access to all the podcasters too at no cost?
when you say streaming, do you mean the TV thing that you pay for every month, or do you mean just the free version on the TV?
Well, I guess the TV that you pay for every month.
If you're paying every month, then yeah, you're gonna have everything. So you can watch your TV shows, you can watch movies, you can do this, no ads, nothing.
Right.
If you're talking just putting a YouTube to your TV, you're gonna get ads and you can watch whatever you want. But I think you have to pay separately for the movies and stuff you want to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So like if a new movie comes out, you're gonna have to pay for that either way. Might be cheaper if you have the premium, but if you have premium, I believe that there are movies and TV shows that are kind of older that are free.
Well, let me tell you that there's a lot of stuff you have to pay for now.
Oh yeah.
I used to be able to get stuff on Prime. I used to get it on Netflix, even fairly new stuff. But there's a lot of stuff out there where, like, I was trying to watch Magnolia, which is an old movie with who's the star in it? What's his name? Jason Robards and Tom Cruise, right? That's old. I want to say it's in the early 2000s, maybe. Everything was charging me for it. Everything. So I didn't bother watching it. But it surprises me now, even after a certain amount of time, usually say for like Wicked, for instance, it's out for a while, the Academy Awards, but normally they have it. They still charge. You can rent it or buy it. And it doesn't matter what platform.
Yeah.
So that's a little surprising to me. I mean, they really are starting to nickel and dime people with that.
Yeah, and then they wonder why pirating's going through the roof right now.
Right.
'Cause-
even Prime was good, and now Prime I have to pay extra if I don't want
Yeah.
commercials.
Like
That's
speaking of, do I have it? Oh, I guess I didn't add it, but the article on the new Switch, the Switch 2 got announced. Or, you know, the Switch, the Nintendo
really?
Switch. Talk about price gouging. $600 for this little piece of shit, right? That's more than the Xbox and the PS5, right?
the little handheld.
The little
thing?
handheld thing that I have.
There's no games for it.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to push these games. The price of the games went up too. So each game is $80 now, right?
Oh my
So
gosh.
$80 for something that is exactly the same, just a different design and maybe a little better graphics. But the graphics naturally on a Switch, I mean, they're cartoons anyway. It's not like there's that much realistic stuff. But
Right.
people are acting like it's the greatest thing since the wheel. The Switch sucks. There's 5 games for it. So
Yeah.
now there's a button on there. I don't have my Switch, and I'm not going to grab it because it sucks. But there's a button on there that you literally have to pay a subscription to use the button.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So Nintendo's just price gouging the shit out of you because they know there's no games. There's nothing for it. But people are like, I'm so excited. I'm like, what do you mean? It's the same thing as the last one.
Yeah.
There's no difference. So
And there's no new games. Like it's the same old games.
yeah,
just
let's make a new
one.
Mario Kart. There's only 20 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna flop. I think you're gonna have the teenage I think you're gonna see a lot of women buy that one because women like the Animal Crossings and whatever. A lot of women I know have Switches, but I think the guys are gonna be like, it's the same thing as before. Yeah. But From Software makes the Souls games that I play, the Dark Souls games. right?
Right.
The ones that your boy's very good at, your son's amazing at. They're doing an exclusive for Switch. So you can't get it anywhere else as of right now, except for if you have that new Switch. So
Okay.
it's kind of, that's where it kind of gets shitty, because if you want to play that game, you have to also add $600 for a new Switch.
But it's interesting too, that I'm thinking about. I mean, because you guys are grown up, I'm not aware of it. But there are no more Game Boys. There are no handheld PS,
Yeah, because now
whatever
you
those
have
things are
the
called. So there is. I can see a market for a handheld game that's not an iPad or something
there
like to use.
actually are handhelds that they
Okay.
do, but you so you have something, I forget what the PlayStation one's called, but there's one that it connects to your PS5, so everything connects still. So the Switch is essentially just a handheld that you could turn into a console, right? I just plug it in to the little dock, and then it goes to a big
Right,
screen.
but if I'm traveling or
Right.
out to dinner with kids, that little hand, not that I'm encouraging this in any way, shape, or form, but that's the handheld game that can entertain the kid absent an internet thing like iPad or
Yeah.
whatever. So, yeah, I don't see it marketed anymore. I see the Switch, but I never
Let me
see
see.
like a Game Boy type or a Sony
Yeah,
PS
because that's just
whatever.
what they are. Because it's essentially an iPad. So see that, Mom? That's
Yeah.
the PlayStation one,
Okay.
right? You
And
also
you load a game or you
Yeah,
don't need
so
the internet.
that
But you load a
connects.
game.
Yeah, but you're forgetting about the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is that handheld computer that I show you all the time.
Yeah.
So this is essentially the new Game Boy. Right? You're not gonna have the old style Game Boy that's like this big.
Right, but I can still, in other words, it's independent. I can load a game for a little kid in a
Yeah.
car or when we're online or whatever.
Well,
Okay. That,
nothing takes discs anymore, so you need Wi-Fi to download stuff. Like discs don't really exist.
right, but once you download it, you're independent. You
Yeah.
don't need to be in your tower. You don't need
Right.
to be in your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
just
I
need a
mean that
charge. Because these
there is
things.
some degree of a market for that. Some people don't want to be lugging an iPad with a little
Yeah.
kid on
Because
a plane or whatever.
these are about as big as the Switch that I have.
Yeah.
But this is literally, it's a full computer. So it's a full computer in hand.
$765.
But that's a
Oh
full,
my
but you're paying for a
gosh.
full computer. Like that you can
But that's
do.
overkill. But now you're telling me the
Well,
Switch is $600. That's
yeah.
incredible.
But think about, yeah, but this you're getting way more out of it, cuz Mom,
Oh, I know.
you can do your
It's 100
email on
times.
this, you can do your
Yeah.
editing. So when you think about a computer, like how much a computer costs, like how
And
much is
it's
a Mac?
cheaper than an
Yeah.
iPad or a tab. Well, maybe not a tablet, but it's cheaper than an iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a smaller screen, and yeah, okay, I get it. It is more versatile. But if I just need a handheld for a kid, I don't need the email aspect. Nor are the kid going to give it to me. Here, give me that while mommy checks her emails.
Yeah.
That's
So
not going to happen.
So this is called the Rogue. So this one's 500, but this one is arguably better, but it's more so gaming-esque than it is
Okay.
computer-esque. But you can still use it as a computer if you wanted to. So like for these, there's just more to it. If I get the PS5 one or whatever it's called, and I think there's an Xbox one as well, it's like what's the point? Like I feel I might as well just get a Steam Deck. More games and everything. Because the Switch, I mean, the Switch 2, I guarantee you the same thing's going to happen like before. They're going to come out with 5 exclusives at the beginning.
Yeah.
You're going to have your Zelda, Mario, and a Donkey Kong game. Then after that, and the From Software game. So that's 4. And then you're not going to see any other games. Or they're just going to do remastered versions of old GameCube games.
Right.
So,
Right.
so you're paying a crazy price for something that's going to have 4 games total. And then,
Yeah.
you're going to wait till the Switch 3 and get excited again. That's what's going to happen. So,
Right.
yeah. Speaking
So we don't have
of,
to worry about YouTube, though, when all's said and done. I think they're going to be okay.
yeah. So,
But it's great to be a podcaster now.
oh yeah.
Chris, you ready? We're going to
Oh
DC.
yeah, we can go to that one. This was pretty
Living
cool.
DC.
White House launches revolutionary podcast row. We welcome new media voices and podcasters from across the country, and you have far more views than CNN and legacy media. Great. One thing that kind of struck me the wrong way is they were literally, I think it's right here. Where was it? It's like, we want you to come and say how great the president is.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, so you don't want opposing opinions. You just want ones that agree with you.
Yeah, I
So
don't
I
think
thought
that's
that
the
was
right
kinda-
way to put it, but I think their point is it's been the mainstream media it's always understood that they were going to be part of the White House correspondent group. Those are the ones that get the prime seats,
Right.
right? Your Fox News, your CNN, your Wall Street Journal, all those people. And where is it written that that's the case? Now we're in a whole different world. As to her point, some of these podcasters, and there are liberal podcasters too.
Yeah.
Some of them have bigger audiences and ask more pertinent questions than some of the ones that just want to do a gotcha with everything.
Are there that many liberal? I can't think of any liberal podcasters, like the ones that focus on news, that are bigger than CNN.
Well, I don't know that individually they're bigger, but collectively there's a large voice out there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, look at, I think there's plenty of liberal podcasters. I don't listen to them, but
well, I would think that they would at least show up in my feed, but like all it is those kids like that Dean, Harry Sessions or whatever, and they're not pulling the numbers that CNN pulls. So, and they're falling apart too ever since the whole issue that Harry Sessions had a couple weeks ago. But
well, I think we've had this before. When we talked about media in general. Liberal media people don't want to hear it.
It doesn't want, yeah.
Right. They always have to fund it. That's how you wind up with an NPR, right? That everyone
Right.
now wants to defund because it's so biased. But, I'm sure there are, we could do the research. I'm sure there are enough of them out there. Whether they pull numbers or not, I don't know. They may not be like the category of the War Room or I forget who some of the ones were that they invited. Like, I don't know if Jack Posobiec is big enough or like a Tucker Carlson. He doesn't need to be in that room.
Yeah.
But that size people to bring in there. Hey, Joe Rogan could send somebody, right, with his numbers to just ask political questions. But the point is, it's a whole different area, and it's enough to just get the mainstream media crazy.
Where's my invite?
How dare you do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going. The opening the media room to positives, bumping the mainstream media. Carolyn Levitt says there are more viewers than CNN and legacy media. Maybe collectively, she means. Some of them are pretty big, but the Pew Research in 2023, and they do the media research, they determined that 49% of Americans listen to podcasts during the year. 67% of them said they get their news associated with it. Yeah. Not just conservative, but liberal also. Stats show that Republicans and Dems find podcast news at least as accurate as mainstream media, which is interesting. American confidence in mass media in 2024 was at 31%. So people are looking for other resources for accurate information. If anything else, it's, supply and demand. You shake it up a little bit. You tell them, get your act together. Report accurately, or we're bumping you. We're going to give people options to get in there. And we know the White House correspondents, they're elitists. They think that only they know how to do news, only they know how to be trained to ask the right questions, and it's money. They don't have that access. They get bumped to the back of the room. They don't like that.
Right.
So, some people may look at, Trump's a fascist. He's shutting down the media. The opposite. He's just bringing in new media. Right?
Yeah, but I can see how that could be taken the wrong way, as in he's trying to make his own media that inflates him, which, counteracts the negative media that's been forced down everyone's throats towards him. But I still think I still don't think we're quite there at the unbiased podcaster level. So you're picking a side either way. Whereas, like, I'm sure you saw Ben Shapiro, he kind of flipped yesterday about the tariffs, right? He was, and rightfully so because you know that there is going to be a dip and you don't know where the dip's going to end. So I kind of get that, but very few people are unbiased now, unfortunately.
Right.
Like, there's no one down the middle. Maybe Rogan, but...
Right, most podcasters are pundits, political pundits on both sides. They have opinions. It's an opinion piece. It's editorial type. Similar to us, right? We have opinions about stuff. That's the nature of the podcast. You can have news podcasts. I don't seek them out, but mine's more media sites.
Yeah,
not
but
individual.
Let me put it this way though. But like, even if you're down the middle, you still kind of like Charlie Kirk's a great example. You know which way he leans. A lot of the stuff he talks about is common sense, but then when he's on Twitter, it's like Trump's the greatest thing of all time. He should do a third term. I'm like, okay, well, that's once you show that, that's what I mean by there's no one really down the middle, right? You'd have to have someone who is very like the reason. What's the word?
Because that's what media was supposed to be, and you don't have that anymore. You
Right,
turn on
but
a news channel and it's biased in the ABC and
right,
NBC and Fox News. They're all biased now. That is a problem. But for all these people who say, well, the news used to be better when we were younger with Edward R. Murrow and, what's his name? Dan Rather and blah, 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 blah. Was it? I don't know. Now we're finding out all these things from the 1960s and 70s that nobody reported on back then. Nobody asked about back then. We just took it at face value that, well, if it comes from Edward Murrow, it must be true. It must be fact. There's also a bias in what stories they decide to tell you, even if the story is unbiased, right?
right.
They pick and choose what they want to talk about in some of the media. So, when media became a 24/7 entity, it became sensationalized and people started to take sides because you needed to grab the audience. You needed them to choose CNN over NBC, over Fox News. What am I going to watch? And think of how many people we know who watch Fox News 24 hours a freaking day.
Yeah, which is not great.
One message constantly. But I understand why they do it because there's nothing else out there, in their opinion, that is unbiased. So now you're trying to find the least biased of all of them.
Right.
And that's what the game becomes. So, but yeah, in all fairness, I mean, I don't know. I don't think podcasters are any different. I think it's good to mix it up a little bit, put different voices in there. And if they become biased too, you switch it up again. Switch it up,
Speaking of games, so this one was pretty interesting. GTA lookalike game exposed for using AI clones of streamers without permission. This is pretty smart, even though it's so there's a free-to-play game. Grand Theft Auto is.
Yes, GTA.
Yeah, GTA. These guys made a GTA-style game that's free-to-play, and what they did was they took AIs of all, so you can be in the game and meet your favorite streamers.
Oh.
Cool idea, but they got none of the permission to use these streamers. So they did full AIs of the streamers just based on years of taking their footage and whatever. But this is where the legality comes in because I don't know if that's technically illegal in the gaming industry yet. It's not illegal to use AIs, and I don't know what the likeliness and whatever it's called, using someone's image. Name, image, and likeness, right, is the thing.
Right.
So I think they're gonna, if it's exposed, great, but I don't think they can legally do anything about that. Like, I don't think anything changes.
Well, I think something's going to drive it pretty soon because similar to that, I was reading an article. I didn't bring it to the podcast, but this woman got a phone call from her daughter screaming on the phone that she's been abducted, right? And it was, she says, my daughter, I heard her voice, had to wire money. She talks the whole process, blah, blah, blah. At the end, the guy's like, I want $30,000 now, blah, blah, blah. Finally, she tries to reach her daughter, can't reach her daughter. And then she finally reaches the daughter and goes, what's going on? What's the matter? It was an AI voice.
Yeah.
So they can take a person's voice and now simulate it close enough that you think it's your own child, spouse, whatever. So I think, obviously extortion in that case is a crime. But when you're manipulating somebody's voice through AI, I think you're going to see it being added to a lot of charges as an extra charge because that's really manipulative.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of companies. The laws aren't quite ready yet. So what I mean by that is like they have videos of Rogan AI talking about like some product. It's the greatest thing since I've always tried it. He's never talked about the product. So and then people buy it because like that's got to be illegal in so many different ways. And the fact that they're abusing it because it's not a law yet.
Right.
And this kind of falls into that category of you're taking people's name, images, and likeness to get people to play this game, and you're not telling people that it's using AI clones. So
see, I'm always surprised at how many ads when I'm looking at articles where they'll say usually it's a weight loss thing, and you click on it and say this is what make it up Jennifer Aniston used for her weight loss, and she thinks it's the best thing ever, right? And it goes on and talks about this product. I guess it must not be worth Jennifer Aniston to sue all these companies because she'd be in court constantly. But I look at that and I go, how is that legal? If she didn't endorse it, they're making money off of her name and her endorsement. Fast forward with now you got AI actually. So I don't know if they're even cracking down on it now, let alone when you start doing AI and you got the person actually hawking their product in name and voice and everything.
Yeah.
I think that something's going to come down pretty soon, and I think it's going to be a blanket. You can't use somebody's, and it's a little bit tough because you gotta, if you just tweak a voice a little bit,
it falls into that gray line. You're like, well, it's not actually the voice. So, but this is where you get to the point of. This is where we get to the point of the law's not ready yet to crack down on this stuff because there's too many variables to crack down on it. So I don't know if these people actually did anything illegal, right? It's not like it's a free to play game, so it's not like you're paying for anything.
Right.
But unless, I mean, if they're selling the voices, maybe, but why the hell's my voice not in there? That's what I want to know. It's whatever.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, I think because I'm thinking about the movies, right? The whole
AI people.
Yeah, the whole court case that went on for a year. Remember that? And then they just were like, okay, we'll settle. We'll do it and we'll settle. Well, by the way, we're going to do an AI that's going to take over your movies anyway. And they're like, okay, how much do we get?
Right.
They crumbled so fast. But the gaming industry doesn't really go through this as much.
Well, and you can legislate. I'm not saying this is right. It needs to be debated, but you'll see there'll come a point where Hollywood will use their power, if you will, to say you have to pass a law that there has to be a certain number of humans in every show.
Right.
The union requires it. You can't do it all in AI.
Right.
Okay. But then they're going to pick the lowest people, the cheapest people, right?
Right.
To be the humans. And then they're going to pass a law that says, well, it has to be somebody of a certain box office revenue. They'll just play that game.
They'll just keep going.
That's how government affects the market, right?
In the last article that I have was, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the games and whatnot. So Cenat, you remember this guy, big streamer. He's one of the biggest right now. Twitch channel hacked by a hacker who has targeted him before. So the reason I bring up this article is not that I actually care about him getting hacked or anything. Again, it sucks, but I would think that these massive channels, like YouTube channels and Twitch channels, I would think they would have way more protections in place. Because when the biggest freaking, he's probably, between him and iShowSpeed, they're probably the two biggest streamers right now, and this guy's getting hacked. That's on Twitch and YouTube. I don't think that's not a him problem, or that's their shitty security systems. So
Yes, so.
Yeah, I think he got it back like a day later. They fixed it for him. But what if you're a small streamer, right? Are you going to actually put the work in or no? So it scares me to think that, like, it's scary to see him get hacked and his channel get taken over by a kid that got banned from a Discord, right?
What does that mean if they take over his channel?
They literally
take over the money.
They take over everything. They change the name. They change where's the look? This is what they turned his channel into.
I don't know him. So.
Yeah, so it's just they completely made it him, and his thing goes my Discord suspended from Mr. Cenat. This is what you get. By the way, nice phone number, and he put the guy's phone number out.
Oh,
how crazy is that?
It, but they didn't take over the production of it. They just took the control.
They took the control of the channel. They deleted his videos, his clips.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he probably lost tens of thousands of dollars. So, I mean, I think that this kid he's doing legal charges, so I hope he gets arrested. But this is still on YouTube and Twitch. Like, you guys got to get your security good, because that should not be ever happening.
Absolutely.
It should take way more than just a username and a password to get into a YouTube account. Or a...
Right.
Yeah. So like, now that's what, because I was talking to some other YouTubers, and they were talking about how they did some subscription stuff. Like, they were getting sponsors, I should say. And it ended up being fake, and they lost their channels, and then they had to get it back through YouTube. But again, they're big YouTubers, so they'll do it. But what if you're a small YouTuber, it's your first sponsorship, and all of a sudden you get hacked? Like that.
Well, do they target the small ones? They probably don't.
No, not really. But every now and then I'll get somewhere I'm like, yeah, that's too sketchy. I'm not doing it. Like, why are you recommending me hair dryers? Right? So, but yeah, that's something.
But here's the thing: after what we talked about YouTube, they don't have to do anything. They're the biggest game in town.
Right. Yeah. But you'd still think that you have better security measures. So
Well, it's not like this guy can say, screw that, I'm off of YouTube. I'll go somewhere else because they're not protecting
yeah,
me. That's not going to happen. They know that's not going to happen. But to his point, if he could sue YouTube also for not providing a sense
he
of
really
security.
should. That's a good
Yeah.
point. You could do that. But yeah, it's kind of scary to think about how like any moment someone could just get into your account if they wanted to. So I hope they start doing more security measures on YouTube because again, if it was just a regular YouTuber or Twitch streamer, okay, but you're talking about one of the biggest in the world,
Right.
like top 3 in the world.
Well, it's almost like you want an insurance policy that if I get hacked, my insurance kicks in and I get paid for that date. Like something where, as I said, the only recourse is to sue, obviously, the person, press charges, but to sue YouTube for not providing what is possible. You can't ask them to do what's impossible, but if there are measures in place or systems you could put in place to make sure that doesn't happen for anybody, that's the only way you're going to force it is if these bigger people say, hey, we're going to sue you guys until you fix it.
Yeah.
They can afford it, but...
Yeah, you'd have to do a class action lawsuit. And that would be...
I think for you, the smaller ones, sure. Like our level, yeah. But if this guy's big enough and YouTube wants his content on there,
yeah.
because that's what I'm saying. Their only recourse is he could go, more, I'm not going to do YouTube anymore. They don't protect me.
Yeah.
Okay, where's he going to go? YouTube's
Exactly.
the biggest game in town. Right.
Yeah. So, all right. That's all I got, Ma.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's not much else.
I had one article about this hawk that's going after people in the UK. He's attacking bald heads.
Oh, that's
and he's
hilarious.
gouging poor individuals as they're walking. It's some sort of mating season thing, or they think it's a hormone with this hawk. But I thought, no, that's too harsh. I'm not.
That's funny, though. This hawk is just dive bombing.
It only happens for a certain period of time. They finally caught it. And the guy, it's a small town where this is happening in some part of England. The guy said, well, I'm guessing because I did this, I won't have to buy a drink in the pub for a while.
Oh.
Only payment. Caught the thing, they put it in a cage until it gets over its hormone thing.
Yeah, that's strange. See, we're getting back into snake season down here.
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't seen one yet, but I've heard that my neighbor's been getting a couple. So I was like, oh, here we go. So
you have a machete? Maybe you need a machete at your place.
I need one of those long. What's the one that we got, Dad? That long pole thing? Because I'm not getting that close. You're crazy if you think I'm getting within hand distance, striking distance.
Yeah. That or a hose. You don't have a spigot at your place, right?
Mm-mm.
You don't have anything at your apartment. They don't like water. Apparently, if you shoot them with water, they go away.
Really?
Yeah, snakes don't like water. I read that one. When your aunt first moved down there, we were reading all these things of what to do with a snake, where you don't have to get close to them. Like get a hose and spray them all from a distance to get them away, which makes sense.
I don't. Yeah. I'm not good with snakes.
No.
When I see one, I'm like, I'm not gonna scream and run the other way. But if it starts coming at me, I feel like anyone would run the other way if one was coming at you.
Oh yeah.
So.
But the bullshit is they keep saying, "Oh, it's not gonna come after you if you." They're more afraid of you. I always hear that one. I'm afraid of you.
That's some bullshit. Not the ones that I saw. Those little black racers, the ones that they call.
Yeah.
Those things will come after you. I'm like, what the frick is that? Luckily, they're not poisonous. That's God nerfing them, but.
Well, and the problem too is, okay, I'll buy that, but I don't want to scare them either. So I don't want to go anywhere where they, what's the risk? I'm going to walk up to them. I can't imagine walking the dog because I don't watch where the dog goes all the time.
Finley just sniffs things, and I'm like, oh, here it comes. So I don't know. Yeah, that's scary to me. I don't like snakes.
Well, just stay on the main path. That's what they always say. Don't go off the walking path. Don't go into high vegetation. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Your place is well lit too. I mean.
Oh yeah, like a copperhead. A copperhead's pretty tough to miss because it doesn't really blend in down here very well. Okay. But yeah, snakes are.
When I guess nighttime, you have to be careful when you don't see where you're going. Always take a flashlight or something if you're walking. But you don't walk in any.
Yeah. Just don't go outside. Never go outside. That's the trick. Stay in your room.
I saw at Home Depot or Lowe's. No, I can't remember. I'm at Home Depot. They have a screen door now that mounts to an inside or outside working door. I told Dad I should send it to you guys if you're over there. If it fits your door, you could put a screen door in so nothing can come in. It's an actual screen door that fits into
Oh,
your door.
interesting.
Yeah. So you can open your door, but you'll still have a full screen door
See, I
there.
like that because when I get home at night, the bugs are just at my door, just waiting for me to open up. So I have to like
Oh,
shoo them all away and then do like a quick open and close.
but that's your front door. I guess you could do it. I don't know if you could do it in your front door. I was thinking more your patio door.
Right. That makes
Get the
sense.
air in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd do that. Hopefully,
Yeah, I don't
hopefully I
think.
can still shut the door and not have to take it out every time.
No, that's what it is. I think it mounts on the outside.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you can open your door, but they say it's for inside or outside. So it's probably just a nice white frame that fits in your door frame. And you put the door there.
Huh.
I didn't look too closely at it. They were hanging in the back, but I was like, God, I was like gadgets like that. I walk around the store sometimes just to see what's new. What could I possibly get here? But,
All right. Well, we can end it there. We did an hour 16. I feel like we got quite a bit done. So the only things I have to promote, obviously, this comes out tomorrow. Last week, on Saturday, yesterday, I posted a video on Repo that I did with those YouTubers. Well, one of the YouTubers, so that came out really well. Go check that out. And then I'm still doing walkthrough prep for the first Berserker. It's still going to take me a while, but that game's a lot of fun. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm not streaming the day this comes out because Dad's here. And then Tuesday we'll start back up. So social media, promo codes, stream links, Discord down below. And hopefully we will see you guys next week. So,
yep.
later.